Hello, all you weirdos. Welcome back to the Weird Science YouTube comics channel. I'm Jim, and this is a bit of an impromptu video because I got angry. I ended up getting angry today when the comic book sales numbers came out. Now, before we start, I will let everybody know I am well aware these numbers have a very limited scope. There's not actual concrete numbers. There's only a bunch of shops involved. But how I look at them as is kind of trends. You can see some things that, oh my God, that's selling real well, or that's not. I'm not going to say that the specifics are concrete of every shop, but it does give you trends. And there is a bit of a downtrend for me in two books that I think are really good. So I'm going to go on this positive tip that I said. I have promised some people that I'm going to be more positive in 2025. I knew when I was saying that I'm probably lying, but I want to be positive. So that's kind of positive, right? But if things are bad, I'm not going to fake the funk or anything like that. But to tell everybody as a public service announcement, if you're not reading Batman and Robin by Phillip Kennedy Johnson or Green Arrow by Chris Condon over at DC Comics, maybe you should give it a shot. I really like them. In fact, this past week on our podcast, I said that Batman and Robin may actually be my favorite book going right now. There's a bunch of other books real close, but after kind of a shaky first issue in my mind with Phillip Kennedy Johnson that I thought he might not be getting Damian correct, he turned it around. It is really, really good. And like I said, it's one of, if not my favorite book right now at DC Comics. But today, the sales numbers did come out of the sales rankings. And Batman and Robin is ranked 109, and Green Arrow is ranked 187. And it's a shame because both books are really good and should have more people reading them. Now, the thing that I'm going to get angry about is the idea that I think that DC Comics completely screwed both these books over, completely screwed them, especially Green Arrow with Chris Condon. Again, a writer that not a lot of DC readers may even know. So it's not going to be like you're going to grab it. Oh my God, I wanted to get the Chris Condon book because I do love that Texas Blood and the Enfield Gang Massacre that he did, but not everybody's there. And so you see a name you don't know, you kind of pass it by, but it goes deeper than that because certainly Phillip Kennedy Johnson is known and loved by the majority of DC comic readers. So why is Batman and Robin not doing better? And everybody will have their theories, but I'll tell you what my theory is. And I was angry about this from the get-go. The minute that these new runs were announced for the All-In that should be somewhere that people who aren't reading, new readers, lapsed readers, whatever, can jump in, just go to the store and immediately see, oh, I want to grab that and know that there's a new creative team. Know that they can jump in right at that issue. You know what's easy to do is to have number ones. I know that some people hate number ones. Oh my God. And Marvel might overdo it, but DC not so much. And I think to their detriment, they don't do it enough because you ended up having both Batman and Robin and Green Arrow. These were books written by Joshua Williamson. And whether you love Joshua Williamson, whether you don't like him, whatever, they weren't great. Batman and Robin, he does, and even the Robin series that Joshua Williamson wrote, he gets Damian. He does Damian great. I applaud him for the character work he has done with Damian Wayne. The problem is that Batman and Robin book was a mess. It was a mess, especially by the end where he tried to tie all that stuff in with the I'm telling you, splicing. You ended up with Shush. Then you had a gang of man-bats, the cult of man-bats. It was a wreck. It was. And Green Arrow, it may have been worse. And the idea of that was it was really, really tied into Absolute Power. I mean, that book became just an Absolute Power deal. And so when you start these new runs, Chris Condon, a writer, again, that many DC comic fans aren't aware of, he comes into this Green Arrow book and they didn't give it a number one. It starts with him, and even then, it got willy-nilly. He ended up where he was kind of writing a little story where Joshua Williamson was still finishing. Then it was almost like Joshua Williamson didn't want to let go of that book just about yet. And it just, I think that it ruined any sort of idea where people would say, oh my God, a new number one. Oh, I don't know this Chris Condon. I kind of heard the name, but oh, it's a new number one. I'll jump in. I could just see if it's good. you end up starting with his actual run at issue 18. And then you get the Batman and Robin by Phillip Kennedy Johnson. That starts at 14. Again, you have an all-in. This should be stuff that you're just having people go to the shop to pick up easily and go, oh my God, not starting to, okay, which am I supposed to get? And a lot of people, again, weren't reading or had been reading Green Arrow, had been reading Batman and Robin. They drop it. They're not even going to know. And again, people who are listening and watching this video, I'm giving everybody credit that we know. We follow the news, we see videos, all that stuff. But I'm talking about, regular Joes and Janes that are going into the store. You need to get them. If you want this whole thing to work, you need to get them. And the easiest way is a new number one. And as I said, I know people get a little antsy with the new number ones, but please, you can't say that it's that crazy to have a new creative team with a new direction, especially Green Arrow's a completely new direction of a book that you wouldn't want to have a new number one. Batman and Robin, you could tell me, well, it does. I don't care. It's a new writer, Phillip Kennedy Johnson. Give him a break and start a new number one. That's then people say, with Phillip Kennedy Johnson especially, that, oh, new Batman and Robin. Oh, my God, Phillip Kennedy Johnson. You need to get the people to get their eyes on it right away. And that's what the new number ones do. Boy, Green Arrow book should be ranked way better than 187. That's pathetic. That is bad. That's cancellation time. And you didn't even give him a chance to get off on a foot where I'm going to tell you, I don't think Green Arrow's ever going to be in the top 10, but it still should be like where Batman and Robin is. And Batman and Robin, to me, should be in, say, the 60s, 50 to 60 range, especially with Phillip Kennedy Johnson that everybody likes. So it's just a crazy deal. And I just don't know why when you do have, and I know, again, people, when you end up saying, oh, DC has this new initiative all in, oh, they're rebooting again. It's not really rebooting. I think DC gets a little antsy themselves about, hey, if we have all new number ones, people are going to yell about reboots and whatever. But we're at a point now that you kind of have to just go with it. You just have to go with it. The sales are down. The hype is down. I end up doing podcasts, videos, all this stuff. And believe me, I see that it's down. A lot of times it's really hard to get people to get even involved in a discussion about things, and especially a discussion about things that isn't just negative over and over and over. And these are two books that should be talked about. They should be, they should be praised. They should actually be read. They're really good. Again, there's my PSA about it. But again, please let me know what you think, because to me, I really think that DC missed out on these, especially, I said, not even especially, but if Phillip Kennedy Johnson does have a name that people have goodwill towards, make sure you let them know that he's on a new Batman and Robin book, and then let people know that, hey, this Chris Condon, who's pretty good, he's on a new Green Arrow. Some people be like, oh, I was reading that Green Arrow and it got involved in Absolute Power, and I didn't really follow that, whether it was because the story was nonsense, Mark Waid stuff, whatever. You have to let them know that this is fresh, that this is new, so they can get all in. That's what you want people to do. So let me know what you think, if there's other books like that or whatnot, or there will be people who are like, I don't want a new number one. Like the idea, it's not going to mess up a trade. The Joshua Williamson stuff will be their own trades, and then you'll start this. I know that it gets some collectors and people who have their things, up in a tizzy. I just am talking about reading, getting people excited, getting people hyped. And the idea, again, these two books are good. So when I get any video I put up with either DC, Marvel, whoever, everything, there's always a comment right away of, let them burn. I hate them. They haven't done anything good and whatever. There are things that are good. It's just sometimes harder to find because of stuff like this. And please, that's the basis. Get the people in the store. It's the idea of marketing and advertising, get them in the store easily and then get fancy, do your things, whatever. But yeah, I think, again, as a whole, thing of this video, please, if you haven't been reading Batman and Robin or Green Arrow, check it out. I think that if you are a DC Comics fan that is just a little frustrated about things, has dropped some stuff, these are two books that you can easily get behind. But that's it. That's the impromptu thing. I don't know why I wasn't even getting that upset, but I lost my voice a bit, and I have to go and record some things. So with all that, thanks, everybody. Again, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.